games live, or even if you did not follow the games live, you can certainly get those games through the databases immediately after, and you can classify them by the openings or the player or the tournament and so on. And it's relatively inexpensively, anybody can get access to those. So here we are with a 4-rook endgame. White is still a pawn down, black is a pawn up. White's dream would be to trade the e-pawn for a g-pawn, because as long as there are pawns only on one side of the board, the two against one, it would be much easier to draw. Probably not less importantly, because it's so common, and all experienced players would be very familiar with that.
Yes.
Here it's less familiar, and you still need to think and calculate and analyze. There you can kind of play out of experience.
Yes.
Purely. So at the moment, White could try to push the pawn further ahead.
Yeah, I remember when I was young, when there were no computers, and in India there were no publications which were publishing chess books, and we had to rely heavily on informators and the ECOs, Encyclopedia of Chess Openings. So these were the two sources of information for most of our generation of chess players. And I remember in one of our meetings with Anand, when he was in Chennai, he met some of our top players from Chennai. And
sorry to interrupt you, but we do have a move here. Indeed, Anand pushed the pawn to e7 as we expected, and the whole idea is to next go after the g6 pawn, give up the e7 pawn, and
if possible try to trade one pair of rook as well.
Exactly.
That would make the job.
So please continue. So you met with Anand in Chennai?
Yeah, we met Anand, and over the course of the dinner we asked him, like one of my friend Kongwel, he asked Anand, can you suggest a good line against Sicilian Paulsen? And he just gave out of the blue, he just said, you need to see my game against Ilescas Cordoba and a few games like that. And he showed some important plans for White, and he gave 3-4 games, and he said this will explain the main ideas of this opening. And he just came out of his mind without thinking, and we were amazed, like he could remember so much. But now we understand that it is something very absolutely essential for a top player to be up to date with what is going on in all the variations.
Yeah, I remember when I first met Anand back in the early 90s, and he stayed with our family for about a week visiting. He was just like a walking encyclopedia. It was absolutely remarkable how much he knew and how much he remembered.
Yes.
And he would go through practically all the games, all the top games at the time that were being played. Already at that time, we were starting to have online games, maybe not live like today, but shortly after the tournaments. And he would just literally go through all the Grandmaster games very quickly, very quickly. And then, of course, the ones he would be interested in, he would go back and have a second look, or a slower look, a deeper look. But it was absolutely remarkable that he would just know every game practically. And I think that's his secret to success, to be honest, and to his longevity, that he
always willing
to learn, but also he was one of the first ones who learned how to utilize the aid of the computer to your optimum.
Yeah.
Even in the days when other grandmasters didn't even have a computer, or didn't appreciate the help that the computer can give to a chess player, he understood it very early on, and he was one of the first ones who...
And he has experimented with man and machine matches as well. And
yes.
It's especially interesting, the match he played with Karpov with the aid of computers. And on the one side, we could see Anand using the chess base very fluently and creating databases, searching for games, analyzing with engines, doing all at the same time.
That's called advanced chess.
Yes.
That's what you're referring to, and that's a very interesting form of chess. I think that deserves more to be seen in the future. I think basically it is that just like you see our computers in front of us, like imagine we would playing against each other, but we could use our computer. So that they have that form of chess called advanced chess. It's really fascinating. You would obviously see very, very high level games, because in addition to our own skills as grandmasters, you would see whichever engines we would pick, the best ones we could find, and and it's not so simple to make your choices, because sometimes there are 1, 2, or 3 reasonable choices, and ultimately we will have to make some choices anyway. But it's really, really fascinating to see, and believe it or not all games end in a draw at all. There are still a lot of decisive games even when you play advanced chess. As I was trying to conclude, Anand really knew how to use technology to his advantage better than definitely his generation, I think. Or he was a pioneer in that, I would say.
And what would be a suggestion for young players who want to use the aid of computers in their opening preparation?
Well, I think
how advisable it is.
I think it's you have to be very careful with that, not to overuse the computer, especially for young players, for developing players. It's really important to keep the right balance, to develop the young players' own creativity and problem-solving skills, rather than knowing to use the computer. Because guess what? Neither does Anand have the computer at his age right now during the game, nor will those young players. So it's really important to, I think, as the player skill improves, the more they can use computers. The lower on the ladder they are in their chess development, the less they should use it. So initially they should really minimize using it, and as they improve, they can add a little bit more and more computer time.
Okay. And what kind of training would you suggest for an upcoming player?
I really believe that, especially in the early phases, it's absolutely essential to focus on tactics, starting from the basic skills of how to checkmate in 1, 2, or 3 moves. The same with the other tactics, winning material, using a pin or forks or discoveries or skewers and so on. It's really, really the essential thing to do for beginner players. As they get through those tactics and they get efficient and fast in solving those, they should get to learn about endgames and strategies. But the tactical element, I think, is really, really important. It's absolutely most important.
And when should learning openings come in?
I would almost say that comes last.
That comes last.
It comes last.
Okay, I think it's very interesting, because many of the young children, when they look at the top players finding new ideas with the help of engines deep into an opening, they try to do something similar with their own chess.
I agree. But the problem is that when you're a professional player, you already learned all of the rest, and you have to reprioritize what you need to work on. But even for top players, it's important not to forget about other phases of the game. And I do know that many grandmasters even practice other phases of the game as well.
Do you mean to say that like a player like Anand would be working on his calculation at this level, or would he take it for granted?
I think the only difference is the proportions. I think he would still be doing some puzzles, especially before tournaments.
Just more harder.
Of course, much higher levels, or I know another typical training tool for high-level players is to play out positions, like complicated positions, could be endgames, could be middle games, to play out positions that are complicated to play, and you cannot just out-calculate it, but you have to kind of use your intuition. But to develop that intuition, to have practice positions, it's also a good practice tool. So getting back to the game for a moment, since most of our viewers, I think that's their primary interest here, we are at the 46th move, and Anand just advanced his pawn to e7 in front of his rook. That's on e8. Magnus Carlsen is a pawn up, but I think we can bravely say that, objectively speaking, the game should end in a draw, barring something very unexpected and a big blunder from Anand's side. The game will be a draw. He still has almost half an hour. He has 27 minutes to make the next 14 moves, which is pretty comfortable in such a relatively simple position. Magnus Carlsen is using his last opportunity to shoot for something, pulling a rabbit out of the hat, which I'm not expecting him to find in this particular case.
Well, it's very interesting that he is making an attempt. That is very important, I think.
Yeah, that's what he's known for. You know, he really uses his chances usually to the optimum, or at least he tries to
till
use
the very
them.
last.
Yes. He may miss some things here and there, but at least he can never tell himself, I didn't give my all.
Yeah. That's a very important quality.
I believe so. And he's a true fighter. And that's what led him to be the number 1 ranked player in the world. And I think it's a great thing for the fans that he doesn't just offer a draw 20 moves ago or 10 moves ago, but let us, just like yesterday, he played almost king against king. There was king knight against king knight or something like that. So
it's also a big contradiction. Like in the first 2 games, the first round finished in move 16 and the second one finished in move 25.
Yes, it's true that it wasn't being played out all the way till king against king. However, it was in an other form until a situation where he had no choice. It was a repetition of moves, and in at least one of the games, if he would have avoided the repetition of moves, he would have had a very significant loss of material. In the other second game, he would have also had a worse position. So it was clear that he had no choice. He only settles for a draw when there is absolutely no choice, whether it's by repetition of moves or
I had
a theoretical draw.
I had some comments like probably the players are not willing to take risk, but I don't think that is the case here. It is just that they will take the risk only when they see it is necessary. Or
I agree with you that indeed, first of all, you don't want to take stupid risks, you know, just to take a risk,
yeah,
just
for the sake of it.
or just to take a risk to entertain the fans, you know. After all, they are here to win the title, and everything else is secondary. And I think they have to be smart about taking chances and taking advantage of their opportunities that are being given. So I certainly don't blame them so far.
Probably take the chances when it is likely to favor them.
Exactly. It's a calculated risk.
Yes.
and that's what chess players are supposed to do. They're supposed to evaluate the situation. And we have another move coming. And the move is rook to g3. So that's an attempt to hang on to that g6 pawn and not allow the exchange of the e and g pawns. Interesting move, because we shouldn't forget the fact that white has a far advanced pawn, much further than any of the black pawns. So potentially it can become a very dangerous pawn, as it's only 1 rank away from promotion square. Now, the difficulty that white has in this and such situations is that even though the white rook on e8, right in front of the pawn, is protecting it, if that rook would to move, then black would capture the pawn for free. So the rook kind of is stuck being in front of the pawn, protecting it. In fact, there is a famous rule of thumb in rook endgames, and that is that rooks generally are better behind the pawn than in front of it or on the side. So black, from that perspective, has an ideal situation. So nothing changed. White's goal should be the same still, trying to somehow force that trade of the e pawn versus the g pawn. It's just that white will need to make some more effort in accomplishing it.
Maybe he can try moves like rook c3 or rook d1. Rook c3 or rook d1.
Trying to trade a pair of rooks, indeed. That's definitely to be recommended.
Yeah,
rook
something
c3.
like this to keep the pawn on b3 under safe from any future threats. And this is an option. How about rook d1? I'm sorry. How about rook d1?
Rook d1, then maybe rook
and
e2
trying to
check.
get the king.
Rook e2. With the idea to either push down the king away from the pawn on b3 or push it into the pin and maybe to a potential checkmate somehow with b5, b4.
Yeah, but
there are some
we are trying to
also
get the king out and give the check to
Let's show a typical tactic for such endgames, since we have this position on the analysis board at the moment. If the black king would try to now go to c7 to prevent the check coming on d7, that would be a big mistake, because the white rook all of a sudden would get the opportunity to move away, sacrifice temporarily that pawn on e7, and let's show it when the rook takes now the pawn on e7. White would have a very decisive check. It's a skewer. The king cannot go to the d file because the other white rook is on the d file, and when the king moves anywhere else, then the black rook on e7 will be lost. So this of course would be a blunder. Obviously Magnus would never fall to such a trick that most club players would be familiar with. So our current position is black rook moved to g3, and it's white to move, Anand to move. He has 24 minutes left to make the next second time control. He has to make 14 more moves, so it's still comfortable, but he has to start making some moves to avoid time pressure.
And black is also probably threatening to play
rook
the
e3
rook probably, and
take
the pawn with check and come back.
Indeed. So we do expect him to play rook c3 to try to provoke the exchange of rooks.
With one rook off the board, it should be comfortable to make a draw.
Very comfortable indeed.
It's easier to exchange the e pawn for the g pawn.
Yeah, then that will come next, indeed, after that.
So it's interesting that even at this level, they are very careful in such simple endgames. It's not like everyone knows all the positions by heart, and we need to work things out on the board. And they are working under tremendous pressure after having sat for almost 6 hours.
I think they are definitely following the better safe than sorry, because it happened in many cases when even grandmasters made a careless move in a seemingly simple position, and then they regretted it. So I think with so many eyes watching, with so many of you watching, and people all around the world, the organization is expecting over 1 billion people following the match throughout the entire event. So if there is so much attention to it, you better don't want to be caught with a silly blunder. So it's understandable, and especially in view that they have plenty of time on their clocks, so it's not like they cannot afford doing that.
Yeah, and Susan, in such matches, we all know that the players take the help of seconds. So what role the seconds have in such matches?
Well, actually, it's a tremendously important role to have good helpers, and Anand has revealed his team of seconds. Magnus were more private about it. Basically, what they do is they before the match they would of course analyze all the games of the respective opponents. They would come up with the game plans of which openings to choose, what surprises to come up with, and try to come up with some new ideas within those most likely opening choices of the opponent.
Yeah, we
do have the move exactly what we expected, and that's to offering the exchange of the rooks.
Yeah, it's important we keep our only weak pawn under good defense and not expose it to
That's right.
attack.
And now it's Magnus's turn to think, to trade or not to trade.
Yeah, maybe he will go rook e2 check.
He could indeed give a check with either rook on the
Yes.
second rank to the king,
Just go
but
back.
the rook can just block the
Rook
check and yet
g5.
again
Yeah.
offer the exchange of rooks. And I think in addition to the seconds helping the players specifically with chess moves and the opening ideas, I think it's also important that they have a calming effect on their player, because there's a lot of psychology involved in chess, and it's really important that the players are in the right mood and they have self-confidence.
But in that case, wouldn't it be advisable to have an experienced player in your team who can give you that calming effect, whom you can...
To have
an experienced player.
Player. Definitely.
Instead of having all young players. like Liko in Anand's team.
Well,
He's
Liko
very
is young,
experienced.
but he's not all that young. He's quite experienced.
Yes.
He has probably like 30 years, maybe 25, 30 years of chess experience. So
Yes.
that's quite substantial, I think. And he played, for example, World Championship match himself. So I think that can be quite valuable. I think we do have a couple more moves on the board. I
Maybe rook
believe,
e2 check
he
and rook
gave a
c2.
check, as you said correctly, rook e2, and Anand did block that check on c2, again offering the exchange of the
Yeah,
rooks.
probably now he can try to win the pawn here. Maybe
With
white
rook
could just
to
go king a2.
e3. Yeah. So let's
Still,
try to show that if indeed rook would go to e3 to attack the pawn on b3 to capture it with a check and then run back
Yeah,
to the e file behind the e pawn, then the king could
maybe
go
we could still.
even rook c3.
And
Although that would give up two rooks in order to promote the pawn. I don't think white needs to take such chances here.
yeah, he
Although
can
it
if
will
he
be
can
probably he
have
can.
a perpetual.
Yes, but I don't think there is need to even take this much chance. I think king a2 is a safer way to play this. Because then if the rook would capture on b3, then you only need to give up one rook and yet promote the pawn. So I think that's a safer way to solve this situation.
No, but it also shows the chances which black can have if white is not well versed in good tactics.
That's right.
Under pressure, it's easy to miss moves like king a2.
So I wonder what would happen if now Magnus, instead of trading rooks or going to e3, would bring the rook back maybe to e6, away from any potential trades. Let's say the rook would go back to e6, and now if again rook c3, move the other rook also away from all kind of trades and go to g5. I'm just trying to keep rooks on the board.
Probably then this would be interesting.
Then rook
because,
d3 and then
to give check and get the rook.
so
king.
but double up now, rook g to e5 to have both rooks behind the pawn, and if rook d7 then play king c6, kind of just keep the game going. I wouldn't be surprised if Magnus may try something like this, because as we keep saying, if a pair of rooks comes off the board, it will be a draw. Or very surely.
So maybe he can try this.
Amazing how time flies. It seems that another hour went by and we're approaching the 6th hour of the game, so both players probably are getting tired, and this may be actually our last time for the day. And our other half, the other half of the commentary team probably is coming in soon again. Tanya with Lawrence to continue the live coverage from the Anand Carlsen World Chess Championship match here in Chennai, India. But in the meantime, we're still here for a couple more minutes, and let's see if Magnus indeed will come up with the idea I just suggested, to try to keep the rooks on the board.
Yeah,
And don't forget to watch the highlights later on DD Sports tonight at 11 p.m. as
and
well.
a repeat tomorrow morning Indian time at 8 o'clock.
Of course, that's
8 a.m. Indian time tomorrow morning. That's
Indian
for the
viewers.
Indian viewers.
Absolutely. And now both players are at the board, thinking, see if there is any other chance to get something out of this position. In the meantime, the transition is happening. Tanya is taking my chair, and have fun with Lawrence and Tanya. And it's been a pleasure joining you here today. We'll be back for Game 5, and in the meantime, enjoy the rest of Game 4.
All right. Hello, everybody, again. Well, Susan signed off there. I wouldn't be so certain, Susan. You never know with these two. You might have another hour. But for the meantime, it's nice to be back, Tanya. Myself and Tanya Sachdev will be taking you through what is looking like it will be the final phase of this game. Of course, this is Game 4 of the World Championship match between Vishy Anand and Magnus Carlsen. And we see there, Vishy taking a cup of tea. That's pretty normal. He likes his tea. And you need a bit of caffeine at this moment. It's been a long game. Remember, we're in our 6th hour.
Right.
We're in a rook ending, and, well, it's one of those ones where deep down I think we all know it should be a draw. But
we also know that Magnus will play till the very end, because that's just Magnus for you.
that's his style. I mean, he's won games that you would never think you could win, especially at this
Right.
level. So he's gonna, he's gonna push. And we've got a move. This is good news. He's just played the move rook from e2 to e3. So
I think if white manages to exchange one pair of rooks, it's going to be much easier, and black's main aim is to keep the rooks on the board and try to push the g pawn.
yes, Magnus's rook g3 move on move 46 was designed to keep at least one pair of rooks on. The
Right.
problem is, if one pair of rooks come off, it's almost certainly a draw,
Right.
theoretically. So he's really trying to win. But we've just seen Vishy play king to a2.
It's a nice move, because black is unable to take on b3, because white's main counter is the pawn on e7, and white can also play rook b8 check, king b8, and just
Queen the pawn, and
Yes.
that'll be checkmate. So basically,
black must always have a rook on the e file.
right. So now the question is, and what I was analysing is, okay, well, white's moved out the way, but now it's up to black. So is he just going to play a move like g5, just to say to Vishy, okay, well, you made a passing move, and I'm going to make a sort of passing move.
Right.
Because you're not actually threatening with king a2. So what is your move here?
Right. I think one plan that white could have is probably to get the rook to f2 and try to play, or rook d2. My idea is to get the rook on the 7th file, 7th rank somehow, and move the rook from e8 to threaten queen. But maybe I would prefer rook f2, because, with rook d2 you just bring your king, but even that is possible, I think.
Wow. And
So white wants to play rook f7 or rook f8 next.
so if I play rook f8 as well.
Yeah,
as-
because threatening rook b8 check, so
actually that could be quite tricky. The last thing we want to do is lose this position for Magnus. So actually king a2. So with your threat of rook d2 or rook f2. So now Magnus needs... He needs a good move here, actually.
we were just seeing this position, we can continue it actually, because after g5,
Hmm.
I'm thinking rook f2, and
Yeah.
black has a very nice rook g1 here. The point is that if you go rook f8 now, there's rook e2 check.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. We do have a move on the board though, and just to finish this line, just rook a1
Yeah.
is checkmate.
Oh. We didn't quite get there. Excuse me for that. So we're saying in the previous line it was king a2, g5, rook f2, rook g1, and if you come down, then check, and that's a nice checkmate.
Right. But we have a
We
in
haven't-
fact, Magnus,
Well, he's played g5.
right.
So we could get this. So g5 played.
And this is the point of having two rooks on the board. There are constant threats, even not just against the pawns, but even against the king.
Right. So what happens if rook d2? The same idea, Tanya. Rook d2, rook g1.
Yeah,
This
it
is his idea.
It looks possible.
And if you check me on d7 this time, am I just coming to c6?
King c6, right. And I'm threatening the same mate with rook e2 and rook a1.
Beautiful. So, Vishy still with some technical difficulties.
But of course, like after rook f2, rook g1, or yeah, you can, I mean rook f2 here, rook g1. Vishy doesn't have to move the rook from the second file, but then black wants to play g4.
Right. So what else does he do?
Good question. Okay, so we have a move, in fact.
We have a move,
And
and
he
Vishy
went
has played.
Rook d2, I think.
Yes, Rook d2 was played. Now, we were just looking at a moment ago this idea of Rook g1.
So the point is that probably after Rook g1, you give Rook d7 check,
Yeah,
King c6, and now you just come back Rook d2.
right.
So now you're threatening Rook c8 again. And if you go King c7 here, white plays Rook to a8. This is a nice trick. So now black is unable to take on e7 because of Rook a7 check and just takes the rook.
That's very nice. Okay, so let's have a look. So Rook d2, Rook g1, check, King c6, Rook d2.
Yes, so I'm not letting you advance with g4 because I have a threat of Rook c8. If you play King b5,
Yeah.
I think I just give you check. I can just check you again. Right, and now I'm thinking Rook d4, you do have King c3.
But then
No,
Rook c4.
then I have Rook c4. Yes.
And then this is winning.
Right, because I give check and I queen.
So you can't do that if you're... So, it doesn't look like you can play King b5. Let's just check that. No, it doesn't like... So Rook d2... So let's go back to the position. Rook d2, Rook g1, check, back to d2.
Right, and I think this is why Rook d2 is more accurate than Rook f2.
Right. And if you play Rook ge1, okay, we can get this pawn ending, I think.
Right.
White can always play Rook g8
Rook
here.
g8, yes. Rook g8 looks about fine. Because once these e and g pawns get exchanged, the position gets very close to a draw then. I mean, yeah, this should be easy.
I think Magnus would play this out for a bit, though. Knowing Magnus, I think he'd... yeah, I think he knows it's a draw, but you've got every right to play on here. Basically.
Right. I remember when I started playing chess and rook pawn endings are very boring to study. Everyone used to say that all rook pawn endings are draw. But then as you get into more advanced levels, you realize that they have a lot of... They're very subtle, in fact, and you have to be very, very careful with rook moves. And there are certain positions in which only a certain move is able to hold the position or you lose. So it's very important to study these endgames.
Yes, absolutely. Well, Magnus is trying to find a way to keep the game alive here.
Right.
Vishy doesn't look too concerned.
Vishy has a direct threat of playing rook d7 and just coming back rook d2. I mean, he's threatening almost a repetition.
Yeah. No, I'm struggling to see what Carlsen can do to stop that, actually. And we have a move. And Carlsen has played
Rook
to
e5, right?
e5.
Yes. I think his idea is that he wants to play rook e3 next. He has defended the g5 pawn. But the point is that to take on e7, he would have to lose control over the g5 pawn. So white has to just exchange these pawns for each other, and then it should be easy to draw this position. So if we just continue with what we were discussing with rook d7 check,
King c6.
and rook comes back to d2.
Maybe his idea here is actually to play king b5.
Because he's defended the 5th rank from
Right.
another check.
And the point is that, okay, you can... I mean, rook d5 check doesn't look like a particularly good move here. So now what do you do? Because suddenly the king, you never know. If he starts getting active, he can. There's a sort of mating net around the white king here
Right.
in some positions. So, for example, rook d7. Okay, we can't go king b4. But rook d7, could it be met by rook to g1?
Or you could play rook e2 check here.
King a3,
Rook g1, threatening mate.
rook d5 check,
King a6.
rook a8.
Oh,
And that's-
king b7?
Yeah, that's still mate. So
No, you play rook d7 check, yeah?
Yeah.
You
So-
can just see that line, it's quite...
So we're saying rook g1,
Right. Threatening rook e2.
threatening this check, and then check here.
Right.
So we were saying, what were we saying here?
No, we were seeing if you give rook e2 check directly
Oh, rook
here.
e2 check straight
And
away.
king a3.
Yeah,
And now rook g1 threat is to play rook a1 mate, so white
Yeah.
gives rook d5 check.
yeah.
But maybe king c6, because king a6, if black goes king a6 instead of king c6, you have rook a8 check, king b7, rook g7 check, king c6.
I can also take.
Then, oh yeah, of course you can take
Yeah.
because the
No,
queen
that
is
doesn't-
defended.
But
no.
but coming back to this is a really tricky move by Magnus because
Yeah,
it allows the king to come to b5
right.
and it finds a bit of a shelter there. And you're right, if Magnus has time, he's going to play this rook to e3 or to g1. He can also start marching that
Right.
pawn. And the game continues. So rook e5 by Magnus is very interesting. Vishy is dying to get a pair of rooks off the board here. He wants to get a pair of rooks off and then he knows he's really close. But with the two rooks on there's still that...
The game is still alive.
Still that hope. What an interesting game we've had, because it looked as though Magnus was doing very well at a certain point. Vishy played this move that allowed Magnus to win a pawn. It looked as though Vishy was having difficulties, but then he drummed up a bit of compensation.
Right, and that knight e4 idea was absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, knight e4 that he played.
That was a really good resource, and it got him a lot of play because it was looking like white was running out of ways to pressurize black, and he found this resource.
Yeah, absolutely. Knight e4 was great. But then, just after the time control, felt like king e3 was better than king c3. So Magnus knew after king c3 that he's the only one who can play for a win. Of course, Vishy isn't playing for a win here.
Right.
It's Magnus is playing for two results.
Yes, of course. And that's a very comfortable position to be in, you know?
Absolutely. No, it's...
And for those who don't know, like, this is very classic and very typical of Magnus and his games. You know, the position looks so close to draw, but he keeps on playing and just building very, very small threats and pressures on his opponent. And more often than not, he happens to get something out of them, you know, what you expect to be something that would be easy to draw. It's not so when you're playing against him, because he just keeps continuing. He does not give up on his chances. He takes every little chance that he gets.
No, he just finds a way. Somehow he conjures something up. He keeps on finding a way to keep the game alive.
Yes.
Whereas even other top grandmasters would have difficulties to do so. So rook e5 is a typical... I mean, rook g3 as well, as a move, was the way to keep the game going, and he manages to find these moves. And now Vishy, he's got 15 minutes left for 10 moves, which should be more than enough time. But I tell you what, in the 6th hour, you're getting tired. You're starting to see, and these are the positions where you can start seeing ghosts.
Yes.
You're looking at lots of different ways and patterns, and you miss. It's so easy to miss just a single
Right.
move here. And although Vishy should be, again, I feel like this should be a drawn position somehow. He's gonna have to. He's gonna have to work hard to get the draw. He doesn't look too perturbed. Magnus had a quick glance at the clock there, so he's well aware that Vishy now under 14 minutes for 10 moves. And then we get to a really interesting part.
I'm looking at this position, Lawrence. Now I have rook d7 check here,
Yeah. Yep.
and black goes king c6.
Mm-hmm.
And if white just goes rook a7 now. Oh,
Excuse me. So rook d7 check, king c6, rook a7.
yes. So I'm threatening to play rook c8 and the queen.
Okay, and if I hide,
I'm gonna move my rook somewhere. Let me just think where exactly, but maybe just d8. Yeah, why not?
okay, and okay, minimum I've got is to come round here. Minimum.
Right. So now I could win this g5 pawn and give the e pawn back, but that's probably not looking so good for white because your king advances to b4 and, for example, just e8, rook e8 and rook d5 check.
But now
But this is not so great, yeah,
No.
because everything is coming towards my king and this is not the ideal way to get rid of
No,
these
no.
two pawns.
So actually it's tricky. It's tricky. You can get in a bit of trouble here.
Right, okay, just going back to that variation we
Yeah.
were just
So
looking, rook
check.
d7, king c6,
Yeah.
and rook
I
king
like
b5, and I go rook g8. Probably rook g8 is the correct square.
rook g8. And it
And
Yeah.
now I go queen.
uh-huh.
The
Right.
point is that I want to put pressure on the g5 pawn without wasting a move after playing rook d8.
But hold your horses. I'm going to check you.
I'm not going to come on the first rank, king a3.
And now I'm going to go here. Oh, it's check. That's annoying. That's queening
Yes.
with check. That's important. Otherwise,
That is important.
there's
The
a
point
killer.
is that, yes.
Okay, hold on. So rook d7, king c6, rook a7. Do we have to play king b5? Well, feels right to play king b5. Rook g8, king b5.
Yeah.
What if we... Yeah.
You mean
Yeah.
if you want to go directly rook e3?
Yeah. Same thing, no?
Maybe rook g8, yeah? Or you can even give rook c8 check and then go rook g8.
Yeah, okay, but that looks like
Yeah, you can just go rook g8.
rook g8 and yeah, you're close. You're getting close here to the draw. Yes, I agree. That might be a very good variation then.
Right.
So rook d7. It's quite scary though because in this position here, after rook d7, king c, the king is suddenly out in the it suddenly has no protectors.
Yes. But this is a pretty typical way of playing in endgames. You know, you're told from the very beginning that you must, once the queens are off the boards and it's very less pieces, very few pieces, you must play with all your pieces, and even king becomes one of the pieces through which you can get active. So I mean, it looks like it's a little dangerous, but in fact black's king wants to come to b4 and start putting pressure on white's king. So you're playing it like a piece rather than something you want to keep
I have
safe.
an idea.
Okay.
So if I go here, you were
We
going
go
rook g8.
right.
I'm going to go here. You're going to queen.
Right.
I'm going to take. You're going to take. Now I'm going to play king b4.
So, okay, I see what you want. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking. I think I have to give a check, and you
Well-
want to play rook e4.
I'm going to block. And this is very tricky. Very tricky. So,
Right, you're right. This gives black a lot of chances because, okay, but the main point was that you wanted to give a check, and my b3 pawn was
right.
hanging.
Yeah, basically.
So we
well, he's
have rook
played rook
d7
d7.
check.
Okay, so we've
Right.
got the first move.
And Magnus quickly replied with king to c6, I'm
I assume it's
guessing.
to c6.
Yes.
Okay, so rook d7 check.
King c6.
c6 played.
Just
And now-
Lawrence, looking at this variation again, I'm still thinking about rook a7.
Okay,
So
let's try again.
yes, king b5
Yeah,
and rook g8,
yeah.
rook e3. So I agree that after e8, that's a very nice idea that you have. But here I'm thinking if I can go king a3 first. So my point is that if any way you take on e7, I have g5 with a check, and I block the b4 square for your king.
Mm-hmm. Interesting idea.
Now, of course, I'm threatening to play e8 next.
Right. Uh-huh. Yeah, that looks like it's a...
This could be the variation.
Yeah, that could be a very strong move.
And it's kind of forcing.
That could be a very strong move. But I suppose it rests on whether I have to play king b5.
Right. But then...
But what else, you know? You're threatening rook c8 check. So if I come this way, rook g3...
I go rook
G8.
g8, right.
And it's the same thing.
Yeah, because
king-
you have to get your
King
king...
b5, king a3.
Oh, we have a move. He went king c6, in fact.
Yeah.
And he did not go rook a7. He went
Rook
to
e,
d8.
d8.
Right.
So that's threatening, well, semi-threatening to queen the pawn.
But, I mean, if it was white's move right now, queening the pawn would mean rook takes e8.
Rook takes e8.
And then rook d6 check. Do we have a...
King c5. rook d- with probably, well,
No, it's possible. It's probably a draw, yeah? Because just in case if it's white's move here, he goes e8. Rook e8, you go rook d6. King c5, rook d5 check. And black must repeat with king c6, rook
Right.
d6.
right.
So white is threatening to play e8 here.
So if we carry on in the same vein and
Right.
go rook g e3.
Can I play rook d6 check here?
Yep. And now I'm going to go king c5.
So I can play... Yeah, e8 queen. Rook d5. Rook d4.
Mate.
You gotta show that.
Beautiful. That's checkmate. So you can't do that. So hold on. Rook g3. Check.
Right.
Okay, let's think again. And let's go this way. If we go this way,
I just play rook d5, right?
rook d5 here.
Why not?
Yeah. Yeah. So king c5, you were going check anyway. No, where were you?
No, we go e8 first.
E8. So takes, check. Back. And
No, if you go
Wha-
back, then I just take on e8 and I take on g5. And
a
this
draw.
is...
theoretical draw. So that looks like this looks like quite a
In fact, it looks much simpler than rook
Yeah.
a7. This is quite a nice way to
Nice
force
move.
things, yeah.
so rook e d8. And I can't see so much else here, I must say. Carlsen looks, well, he gave that look of, probably he's found the way here. He's going to give it a bit more thought, though. Remember to send us your tweets. Hashtag FWCM2013. We are currently trending very well in India. And we're getting some of the top ratings, so please do send that. And we have a move, and indeed he has played rook g to e3. So the variation that was
I'm betting on rook d6 check.
rook d6 check.
But it's possible. I'm wondering if we can play. Yeah, e8 queen first does not work.
Why?
Because you just take rook e8 and rook d6 you come back king b7.
King b7.
And now you don't have rook d5 anymore. You're not getting this g pawn.
Right, so the point is that black can protect the g pawn.
Right.
And that's probably, with the pawns so far apart, that's probably winning. So you're probably right. You have to check first.
And the difference is that now if you go king b7, white goes rook d5.
That's the key move. Rook d5. That's the key move. Okay, he's played rook d6 check.
Right.
So this is now on the board. The cup of tea is gone.
I think he knows it's going to end soon.
As is his napkin. By the way, for all of you guys, on the topic of drink, a lot of people have tweeted, where is Carlsen's infamous orange juice?
Yes. It's a good question.
Where is this orange juice? Every picture we've ever seen of him, he's had this orange juice next.
It's almost like his lucky mascot.
Since he was 11 years old, he's had this orange juice at every game. Well, of course, they have their own areas, and I've been told by none other than Henrik Carlsen, Magnus's dad, that safe to say there's a fair supply of this orange juice in his little room. So he's not going without it. Don't quite know how orange juice helps, but it helps Magnus.
Apparently it does. But it's true, he's always had it next
vitamin
to
C,
him
I don't know.
on the table, but this time it's not there. Maybe he'll start getting it from tomorrow.
Right. So the key move in this position is that after rook d6 check, king c5, we have to go e8 queen. So king c5, e8 queen.
Right.
Takes, then we check.
Yes.
And the point is that we can't come to, well, we can come to b4,
But you check again.
you check again.
And you must go back because king c3 is checkmate. And then king b5 and rook d5 check. Rook d8 was a really nice move. It forces things perfectly.
And,
Now you just take on e8.
well, you can even check again, but yeah.
No, if you check again, he goes king b7.
And then you get that g pawn.
Right.
So you have to win the g pawn. And the question is Magnus actually going to play this position out?
From yesterday's experience in that opposite color bishop ending, I will not be surprised.
But this is dead drawn.
Yes,
I mean, this is
it would be
theoretically you can't
quite
win this
strange if
position
he
with
decides
best
to
play.
continue. But they have
Well-
had a long game already, so he might.
Well, there is the rest day tomorrow.
Yes, it is.
So he might think, I can rest tomorrow. I can just play forever. I know Vishy's going to draw this, but you never know. Something might happen.
I don't believe that.
Well,
not if this position is
stranger
going to
things have
happen.
happened. Really, stranger things have happened.
not okay.
The only if the king was a bit more active, I would say that
Then
There
we'd
would-
have checks.
then we'd have checks and yeah. Okay, let's go back to the position as
Right.
it is. Rook d6 check on the board. Magnus Carlsen, he needs to move his king. Where is he going to move it?
But the last two games have been extremely exciting, I would say, and definitely this rest day is very well deserved.
Absolutely. Okay, so Magnus with 23 minutes here. I can't imagine him taking too long on this move because really he's only got one or two options.
But both players have played so precisely this game. It's incredible. Finding best moves.
And Carlsen here, he's looking a bit... Well, I think if this does end in a draw, I think it's a fair result because, Carlsen had the upper hand, then Vishy did, and then Carlsen did a bit, but it was
never clear.
No.
Even though when Vishy gave up the a2 pawn, from that moment on, he always managed to find threats against black and keep black's position tied up. And, so he's gone king b7
he's gone
here.
King b7. All right, so the key move here that he had to find was this rook d5 idea, right?
I'm just wondering if there's something else also that he could do, but rook d5 looks simple enough. Right.
So Carlsen does have the opportunity here after rook d5 to keep two sets of rooks on.
Yes.
So maybe he feels this is his best try. Of course, this should still be a draw, but...
It's just gotten closer to the draw with e7 and g5 gone.
Right.
I mean, white can just put one rook on g2 and... Or just rook d5 back here. Oh, it's
black to move.
It's black to move, sorry.
So, the question is, are there any tricks whatsoever?
Maybe rook e1 with the idea to threaten rook e2 and rook a1 mate.
Yeah. Rook e1. Threatening.
Amongst other things, I think white can go rook d5 here.
Right. Yeah, he wants to get a pair of rooks off.
Yeah, that's all that there's left to do.
And if check, you're going to block.
Yes.
Ooh.
So
Hello.
he's gone rook d7.
That one
No, his point is probably that king a6 and then he goes rook d5. So rook e7 doesn't allow any rooks to be maintained.
King a6.
And now I'm thinking that he wants to go rook d5.
Well, okay, well...
Oh, he's made some move?
Yeah, he has
and he goes rook d5. This makes even more sense because like you were saying after rook e7, black maintains both rooks. But
right.
in this line, that doesn't happen.
Right, so rook d5. Now. But. Will I say but? But. Okay, it should be... Well, no. There's nothing really... the only thing I was thinking is that here, if we take and g4...
Just rook g5.
And
the point is that, or even if you play g3 in that position...
Yeah.
I just take on g3.
Right. You can take.
Right.
Because that would lead to a queen.
Yes, so the pawns get exchanged in any case.
But if you take, and now king b5, at least I've got my king...
But just king a3 and...
Of course, it's a draw, yeah.
This is a nice way to defend this position when you're a pawn down with the defender's rook on the 4th rank, because it stops black's king from advancing further. So this is actually the ideal position to hold this.
Yeah. So the big question is whether Magnus is going to play this position on. I think he will for a tiny bit. After all, yesterday he played on till opposite colour bishops.
And he wasn't even a pawn up there.
Yeah. So we're on move. If we go back to the starting position, we're on move 55. Vishy's got 3 minutes 42 seconds. That's more than enough time to complete the next few moves.
And most importantly, all the important moves have already been made, and it's much simpler from now on.
Let me ask a question. What if I play g4?
Right, so I take on e5.
Same thing, right?
And rook d4.
Just exactly the same. And it's the same ending. I have to take.
And just takes on g4.
Yep. Looks like we're heading for a draw. So I wonder how many people will have expected this to start with 4 draws. Probably not many, actually. But we've come close to something being decided.
Right.
One thing's for sure, I think people who thought this would be a landslide for Carlsen have been proven wrong in quite some fashion. Vishy was never going to be a pushover, especially in his home country. And the match is very much balanced. So who knows? Magnus will have white in the next game. He needs to get something a bit more with white though, because he's been struggling so far. In fact, black in all of the games has been doing a lot better.
Yes.
How strange. Very odd for that to happen. Normally it's white the one who's pressing, but it seems like black has been pressing in most games.
Right.
Well, Magnus he's trying something. Body language to me says, well, I sort of know that there's not much going on. But he's trying to find some okay.
Just given a check.
Okay, well, a check is a check. Not quite sure how that helps, but
And Vishy went king a3.
okay, so check and king a3 has been played.
I really don't see how Magnus wants to maintain any chances here. I mean, he wants to ideally have both rooks, but it's very difficult now.
Just a little thing here. If he gets a bit excited here and plays b5, well, that would run into checkmate for white. And let's just say that
Right, so we have a move.
we have a move. And after king a3,
Black went rook e6.
wow.
He's just doing everything.
He is
This
trying.
is amazing.
And look at this idea here, Tanya. The point is, after rook g5, maybe now he's threatening b5.
So the point is he wants to play b4 and mate with rook a2. This is
Oh
amazing.
my goodness. And Vishy maybe started to relax, thinking, well, there's no real way he can avoid this. Oh my goodness. And Vishy now has got 3 minutes to
But
solve
I'm
this.
sure we can find something here.
So rook e6, okay.
Right, so I'm thinking first move that comes to my mind is e8 here. But then you just take rook e8, rook
Yeah.
g5, and
Come back.
yeah, you come back. I mean, at least b5 doesn't work anymore. I think Vishy's holding the queen in his hand.
Yeah. Well, he's got 2 minutes. He's got to make a move pretty soon.
And how many? We're on move. Okay, we've got 4 more.
He's got the
moves to
queen
make.
in his hand. He's ready to sacrifice that pawn because he can see the danger here of this b pawn coming to b4. That's the
Right.
last thing he wants. Oh, he's looking really angry with himself here. I'm not quite sure why, because I think it's still, but he's getting a bit nervous and he needs to keep his cool here.
This is quite an amazing resource that Magnus found
What
with rook e6.
this is,
and
I mean,
a mating idea with b5.
just trying to mate this king on a3.
Absolutely amazing.
Oh my. He keeps it. And Vishy now only 1 minute 40. He's got a.
So Vishy knows that till the last 5 seconds at least, he can always play e8 and take on g5.
And
Oh,
rook
he's gone rook
d8. He.
Right. What is going on here?
Well, I'm not quite sure.
So the point is, if you take rook e7, white takes rook g5, right?
Right. But Magnus has managed to keep both rooks on.
Yes.
Can he find another way to...
We're getting a lot of questions asking if rook into g5 was a blunder instead of rook d8. And it's very, very dangerous on the move before to take rook g5 because, like we were saying, b5 here. And black threatens b4 and rook a2 mate, and I'm not sure.
And the point is, b4 we have a similar
Yes,
mate
we have another mate.
symmetrical. So, rook d8 by Vishy, and, well, okay. What does Magnus play?
Probably now black has to take on e7 because the point is if you go b5 now, I have rook d6 check.
Right. So b5, you're going to check me. And then after this, you're going to do something like
Or
this.
rook d5.
Or rook d5. So, yeah. Well, rook d5, I'm going to trick you again. Rook d5, I'm going to trick you again. I'm going to play king b6.
Oh, right. Okay. But do I have b4 now? But that's...
But suddenly,
this is
you know,
not-
you don't want to start.
No.
But rook g6 feels correct, cutting the king, cutting the black king off, not allowing it to take part. That feels like that would hold.
Yes, rook g6 makes a lot more sense. In rook pawn endings, you always try to cut your opponent's king off from becoming active.
So rook d8 and Vishy with 1 minute 31, Magnus with 15 minutes. Just to confirm to everybody, at the moment they're not playing with increments, so they're
Right.
not getting bonus time per move. However, once they reach move 60, they'll get not only an additional 15 minutes, but then they will play from move 61 with 30 seconds each per move. So theoretically speaking, the game can go on forever because they keep on getting more time. Now, I've never known a game to go on forever.
Apparently, the longest ever played game was something like 269 moves.
Well, I think that was recently, wasn't it?
I'm not
there was a very
sure.
high profile, I think it was in the Ukrainian Championship, there was some very long game. I myself have witnessed one of the games, not only of this year, but maybe of this millennium, which was Tomaszewski-Morozevich in the World Cup, which was an unbelievable match. Tomaszewski beat Morozevich in something like 180 moves, just kept on going, used the increment, and it was just, it was so, looked like so drawn, it looked so dead. How Tomaszewski beat somebody of Morozevich's caliber, don't quite know. But I don't think we're going to be getting that in this game.
Right.
But Carlsen's desperately trying to find a way to keep things alive. I think keeping the two rooks on is some sort of mini success. So rook takes e7, rook takes g5. And now you need a good move.
The other idea that black has, one is of course the b5, b4 motif. The other is to double the rook on the second rank and threaten with rook a2 mate. So I'm just thinking if I can move rook to f2, for example, after rook g5.
Rook f2.
And rook a8 check seems quite normal because you want to push the king back.
Well, rook a, yeah, but then that gives a tempo.
A tempo.
Yeah.
Yeah, but my idea is to play probably rook g8, I'm thinking, or rook d8. Just either of these moves. The point is that when you play rook e2, I want to come king a4.
And then rook f4. Sorry.
So rook f4, and I must come back again.
Okay. All right. But now. What happens if I play a move like rook e3?
Yeah, so I want to go rook g3.
Right. You want to?
I want to swap the rooks.
You are desperate to swap a pair of rooks
Yes.
off, right? Yeah. So Magnus now only with 12 minutes. He's going to have to make a decision soon, but you can see he's desperate to try
Yes.
and...
You can see he really wants to try, but he's not able to find. But that's probably because it doesn't exist
Because it doesn't
in the
exist,
position.
but look how he found rook he's
Yeah,
keeping the
it's-
game alive. Is he going to find another way? Okay, Vishy, glancing at the clock, glancing at his score sheet, wants to make sure that
Because if Magnus is able to find one more tricky move like rook e6, it will be very difficult
really
for
tough.
Vishy
Yeah.
in this much time. I'm sure there will be a defense, but you know it's hard to find when you're so low on time.
You know, for example, how about this as a tricky move? Rook to e doesn't quite work. You're going to queen your pawn, right?
Right.
The point was that if you take on g5 first, I can be tricky and play rook e2. And
But I'm thinking if, yeah, you're right. I see that.
and then actually that's
the
going
threat.
to be tough. But he's always going to queen his pawn. And he's made a move. He's made a move and he's played the move g4. So he's keeping it, so he's found something. Now, of course, Vishy can queen that pawn and exchange a pair of rooks off. But he doesn't do it. He plays rook g5. So Vishy now with 1 minute 3 seconds left for 2 more moves.
So rook g5 seems very reasonable. It's obvious that Vishy was thinking on Magnus's time, and he probably saw this move already.
Yeah, the point was that if you queen the pawn now, of
Black
course,
just takes it.
you just take it with black, and
White is not able to win the g4
right,
pawn.
and then that's real winning chances.
Right. So we have some moves.
So rook g5, we've had another move, and now Vishy
Magnus went.
down to 55, 54, 53. Magnus played rook takes e7. Okay, so he won the pawn.
So he's kept both rooks.
Now, I'm surprised Vishy isn't taking this pawn off immediately. Oh, he's giving a check first. Okay.
So he
He's
has
forcing
to play
king
king
b7.
b7. And
then
Vishy comes back rook g8.
rook
So this is similar to the line we were seeing actually,
right.
because the g pawn is going to fall in the next move.
Well, good news for Vishy is that he's made the time control.
Right, and as you see, 15 minutes are added to the clock, and now on every move they get a 30 seconds increment.
And now Magnus, in this position, has got one move to make. What if he plays the same idea here,
Which one?
Tanya? Rook e1.
So I take on g4,
And now I come.
king a4.
Check. Hold on, check, check. Oh, you're getting into... This is a bit tricky now.
Yeah, it is.
Check, check.
King c4.
But I'm driving your king away from that b pawn.
From the mating net.
But from the b pawn. And remember, if Magnus keeps both pawns... Sorry, both rooks on. So where do you go here? Something like king d3. Suddenly I've got rook a3 and...
This could be tricky for white. Okay, so just go back.
let's go back. Vishy's made a...
So I play... sorry, what was the line that we were
I'm going to
looking
play
at?
rook e1.
So I take rook g4, and yeah,
Yeah.
rook e2, the simplest is rook g1 here. And just
Right.
defend rook a1 check.
Right.
I mean, rook
That
a1
makes-
mate. Yeah,
That makes a lot more sense. Yeah,
yeah, this...
good defense. Okay, so rook a8. So is there anything else here? What about doubling of those rooks on the 7th? What about rook d2?
Can I play rook g7 here?
Rook g7. Okay, sorry. Let me try it again. Rook. Sorry, rook g2 doesn't.
I just
You're
take
gonna
on
take on
g4.
So I'm finding it difficult to organise my rooks.
You could play rook c7.
Rook c7.
Right.
That's a... But then rook g7 anyway?
No, but now you go... Yes.
Rook g2?
Then I take on... Oh, yes.
Aha! So we found a way. Rook g2.
You're helping yourself out a lot here. You're cooperating. Okay, so rook c7.
Here?
No, just go back.
Let's go back.
You played rook c7 here.
I played rook c7.
The point is that if white takes on g4, you want to play rook c2 and threaten mate on a2.
Or even rook c1.
Rook c1, I always
And
have
then
rook
you
g1.
have- okay,
So we
good.
have a move, Lawrence.
a4!
Oh my god.
What is going
I
on?
have no idea.
And Vishy is thanking his lucky stars that he's made the time control.
Yeah.
He should see on his clock that he's got 15 minutes.
He looks very...
He looks extremely nervous. Why is he
Why
playing?
is he playing so quick?
I have no idea why.
What just happened?
What's going on? What you can? He could see 16
Is
minutes.
he not aware that they've got...
Why is he playing so quick? Okay, well,
I'm sure he knows.
Maybe.
Yeah, now we just have a drop position.
Maybe we just
yeah.
have. Okay.
Maybe it was just very well calculated and he knew exactly what he was doing and it didn't matter whether it was 30 seconds or 15 minutes on the clock.
Yeah. Okay, so the position is simplified.
Oh, and
That's
we've
it.
got a handshake.
Okay, we've got a handshake. And Magnus isn't going to
That was
try.
an absolutely a brilliant game.
Wow, what a moment. A4. Now, I think that may have... Did he have a moment here to play this rook c7 move? That looks like a very interesting idea, or move 60 to keep the rooks on. And if rook g7, simply rook g2. And the game continues.
No, but I don't have to play rook g7 here.
Okay.
So,
the players are analysing anyway. Just to confirm, we have had a draw. Carlsen has offered a draw in this end game, which is, if you look at the board position at the moment, this is a theoretical draw. Vishy certainly would never lose this. A great game, though. Lots of
excitement.
lots of moments where it was swinging one way then the other, and in the end a draw. I think it's a fair result because it was a real battle today, and everybody out there who...
What was absolutely amazing was the kind of resources both players found, which were not so obvious, you know, even finding this idea in the end with rook e6 and threatening mate with b5 and Vishy's knight e4 in the middle game, giving this a2 pawn when it was not so obvious where his compensation was. It was brilliant the way they played and found all these motifs on the board.
Right, and now they're analysing the game between themselves. It's going to take a few minutes to have a... And there's a smile there from Carlsen. He doesn't look too dejected.
Yeah, he doesn't.
He knows that the position, although may have been favourable for him, was far from clear.
Right.
And they're having a chuckle.
That's the happiest I've seen him, actually.
Yeah, the first smile he's broken out in all day. And this is a common thing that grandmasters do after the game. They have a quick chat, and I think both players are going to be happy, actually, again, to have drawn this. So that means that the match is tied 2-2 after 4 games, 4 draws.
Right.
No decisive results just yet. However, we have another 8 games left. There will be no game tomorrow because of the rest day. Remember, you can check out the highlights of this at 11 o'clock tonight and then 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. So make sure you check out the highlights of this game. It's been a very long session. I believe we are approaching the 6 hours exactly nearly this game. So a very, very long match, the longest of this World Championship bout. And both players are happy. The rest day tomorrow, so there will be no game tomorrow. Please bear that in mind. And game 5 will be the day after. So a rest tomorrow and then game 5 the day after. And Magnus there, well, shirt could do with an ironing. I'm sure that's not his his priority at the moment. That said, they're both now going to make their way to the press conference, and of course we will go directly to that press conference, so don't go anywhere, because of course we would love to hear from the players. We're going to get a lot of commentaries as well from other grandmasters and observers of this. Perhaps there were some moments where the players could have improved their play, and I'm sure they'll be talking about that in the press conference. But I know one thing is that everybody should be very happy with what happened today. It was a proper fighting game.
Yes, the match has really begun, I think, now.
Yeah, absolutely. And the players are now leaving the hall. So I hope all of you have had a very good day, wherever you are in the world. It's been certainly one of the better games of this match. Games 3 and 4, I would say, have been our highlights. I think the championship, we can fairly say, has warmed up, and I'm sure we're going to be having a lot more interesting battles over the next few rounds. I know I've had a great day. I hope you have as well, Tanya, and we are now going to be put through to the press conference. The players are currently on their way. A lot of security, as you can imagine, for both players, Tanya.
And they have their own private lifts to get everywhere, and nobody really gets to see them.
No, they go in through a secret door almost to get to the press conference. Of course, Vishy, being the star he is here, gets mobbed wherever he goes, and Magnus as well is very popular here, so they have their own ways of getting to the press conference, which is obligatory for both players. Whether you win or lose or draw in this match, you have to go to the press conference.
Right.
Simply because that's in their contract and the whole world is watching, so it's only right that they talk about the games. A number of points in this particular game today I think will be discussed. I think there was a moment where maybe in the middle game, early end game and then late end game were the key moments. But I'm sure these two guys will discuss this in detail.
What's going to be also interesting is to see if the Berlin is going to be repeated during the match.
Right. Well, I don't think it was a shock for Vishy to face the Berlin.
Definitely not. I mean, it's one of Magnus's main openings.
Exactly. So I think that was...
But I have a very strong feeling that Magnus would want to play something new every game with black. He does not want to come into Vishy's preparation. Right. So I think we might see a lot of surprises with black. And like you said, black has been doing absolutely great in this match so far.
Well, yeah, black, it's I can't remember a world championship where it's been black that's been pressing in most of the games.
Right.
Literally every single game we've had, it's been black who has games, even game 1, 2, 3, all of the games black has been better, and this is very, very rare.
Right.
And in fact, here we have the players at the press conference sitting down with Anastasia Karlovic ready, and we're going to go there straight away. Have a great night wherever you are.
Players here with us. It has been a very long game today, and can you please keep silence? Thank you. So can you please give us comments what happened today, this 6 hours battle? Can we start from Viswanathan Anand? You were playing with white?
Yeah, something went horribly wrong in the opening. I mean, I made one illogical move after the next, and then I just missed something with knight e2, and suddenly I'm yeah, I'm just basically lost. Then roundabout here, I mean, I don't think anything's wrong with h5, but I thought knight e7 is even stronger. Because if f5, he starts with knight c6, and I didn't see how I could get anything. But I'm sure there are wins after h5 as well. And then towards the end, it was a bit scary in this 4 rook endgame. But finally, when I give a check on a8 and get to g8, then I'm safe. And I was lucky that twice, just before the time control, I could give a check and then make my next move and get to the reach the time control. It happened 2 times, move 40 and move 60.
Magnus, your comments, please.
Well, of course, I'm very happy with the way the opening went. I mean, I was feeling pretty good early on, and then, of course, when I won the pawn, I was very optimistic. But he kept finding resources. I was missing some little things, and I mean, he just fought them really well. And today I couldn't do enough to break him up. So it's a bit of a pity to have spoiled such a good position, but it was a very good fight. So I cannot be too unhappy.
Yeah, and Anand, can you please tell me, bishop a2 move, did you miss this move, or what particularly you missed in this variation?
No, I didn't really miss it, but somehow I've been drifting already, and if I don't play knight e2, it's not clear what I'm doing. So more to be consistent than anything else, I did it. But of course, and there were hopes. I mean, after. I mean, there's a move like e6, and there's the occasional tactic, and I thought something might work, but in fact, just nothing worked.
Yeah, and okay, there was interesting comments on TV channel, and Boris Gelfand actually was following your match, and he proposed this move with c1 at this moment instead of taking on g4. Did you consider it because he found this idea to actually as some trick maybe to checkmate Magnus in one moment? So did you consider it? He was very curious.
I saw rook c1.
Yes.
I mean, in a way, it's what I'm playing for, so I did see it, but.
Of course, Magnus is not obliged to take on h3. It was just.
Well, to put it mildly, I thought. I don't remember what I saw specifically against this, but it just seemed to me some sort of fantasy line. I think Boris is in composition mode. I mean, if he's right, he's right, but I couldn't.
For instance, what about?
It's not obligated.
Yeah,
yes.
It seems like my team will say.
Yeah, okay, it was just one.
But it's very cute.
Yeah.
This
No, I mean.
wait, a5, I can play.
What? Rook d5 takes king a7, a6, and.
Oh, no, sorry. I thought rook c7. Just I'll make the
Ah.
a5. Rook c7. Well, first of all, king a6 wins. But second, after knight d6 for a second, I saw king a7, knight c6, king a6, knight d4 draw. But of course, he starts with king a6, and it should be good.
Okay. And okay.
There were many beautiful lines. Here, for instance, I was trying to save myself with fg6. And of course, logic. No, sorry. Yeah, no, I mean here. I was thinking of e6, fg6.
Yeah,
I mean,
so
f6.
there's a little trick if I take on f5 instead of c1.
Yeah. And the problem is simply rook at 6 wins. I thought it was just curtains. But if he plays e5, which is also very plausible because he takes away the square, everything seems to work. Then originally I thought rook d8, knight d8, rook takes c7, and if he goes king b8, I play rook c8 and g7. But in fact, king a6 and then bishop e6. So I then had the idea to do this. And then go rook d8, but it just doesn't work.
And okay, my last question also about the game is on the move 57. Did you consider this opportunity to play e8 knight, for example? It was just a small trick here. Let's show to public. Oh, it's not easy to show. Okay, maybe you remember 57's move. Then there was e8. You could have put at. Thank you. Instead of rook d8, just yeah. Wait, I will try to go. Yes, here. e8.
Yeah.
For example, knight, not necessarily maybe queen, just to maybe show to the public. And then the idea is maybe that now, like threaten b5, if you immediately take with the pawn on g5, so to have this check on d6.
Yeah, we did basically the same.
Yeah, I mean, I did it with the rook on the 8.
Just, I mean,
Sure, no, but I didn't want to do this because of rook takes e8, rook takes g5, rook h2. Though I think I'm drawing with the rook g1, a1, but I would rather not draw it.
So maybe you have questions also for players about this game or some other questions, please.
Magnus, Anand said that you had winning chances. Anand said that you had clearly winning chances. Where exactly it went wrong?
I don't know. I definitely thought I had winning chances, but there were always some new obstacles. He kept finding very good resources that at least I couldn't deal with. So I mean. I didn't see any clear win. I think there definitely was. But anyway, that's you have to do something, and this time, I mean, even at this point, right before the time control, I thought I might be winning, but it turns out it's not the case. Yeah, I mean, it's just not easy. There were just so many tactical resources there, and yeah, I was just trying to navigate through them with the pluses that I have, being an extra pawn and a potentially good bishop in the endgame. But today I couldn't. We found a way to save the game. So. But it's I mean, all credit to him. I think he defended extremely well.
Such fighting draws good for chess, and at some point, say after 50 moves or something, did you feel that you are exhausting your energy?
I mean, there is a free day tomorrow, and we're playing for the World Championship. I think I think we should play till the end. And I mean, concretely on move 56 with about a minute left, he may just walk into a mate in two after rook takes g5 b5. So I think there was. I mean, there was absolutely no reason to make a draw there.
Actually, my question to Viswanathan Anand, actually in this moment, I mean, did you feel that you might make mistake, or it was clear for you that it's a draw?
I felt it must be a draw, But Magnus also kept finding resources. I mean, this position, I really checked everything, and I thought I had done it, and then he found rook e6, and with this point that after rook g5, b5 wins. So, and I had a minute left at this point. So, again, I was lucky that I could play rook a8 check, rook a g8, and get to the time control, because I was down to a minute there. I mean, for Christian, it's just another day. It's not every day I come down to a minute.
Actually, it's very rare when you have time, right, in the games. So, other questions, please?
Mr. Anand, this is a fantasy of 64 moves of a draw, 64 squares representing. But first round it is 16, second is 25, third is 51, this is 64. Draw increases, moves also increasing. So what will happen in the fifth round? Will the moves reduced or draw increases?
What do you want me to say, Kamesh? I mean, today was a very tough game. I was not really counting how many moves we were getting.
You think tomorrow?
This goes to Anand. The vice president of FIDE, he said today that your team has requested, or had requested that Garry Kasparov was not seated in the first row. Why? He said so.
So can we speak about this later? Let's leave these discussions. Let's speak about the game, the match, right? Of course.
So when can we ask those questions?
I mean, okay, if you would like, okay, actually we got the answer. Thank you.
It's a both Carlsen and Anand met Kasparov. It's true, no? Second you met, both of you met Kasparov and Anand. Both of you met Kasparov and Anand. Because we are not met him.
So what is the question?
The press media has not met Kasparov, but I want to know whether these players met Kasparov.
Okay, yesterday you haven't seen him, what about today?
No, I mean, I didn't speak to him yet. I didn't have time to tell him not to sit in the first row, by the way. But, no, I mean, I think shouldn't make too big a deal out of it, so. I think this match will be decided maybe over the board, not off the board. And I think today the game itself had plenty of content, so let's stick to that rather than talking about Garry.
Thank you. Other questions?
Yes, Magnus, how happy are you that it was a longer game today?
Yeah, I'm very happy that it was a long game. I had an advantage and I didn't manage to win it. That's really a thrill. No, I'm happy that I got some winning chances. I felt that although I didn't win the game, I played fairly well, and there was a real fight. And I think this is the way chess should be played.
It's really amazing to see as the game progresses and the battle is on, your relationship is increasing. Both of you are complimenting each other, and it's amazing to see, and your comments on that. Amazing to see that you fight so hard, give everything out. So when we come to the press conference, it is really wonderful to the chess. Your comments on that.
Thank you so much for that. And I'm pleased you see it that way.
My question is to Anand. Your off-board relationship is very nice.
Yeah, I think both of us simply are focused on playing at the chessboard. And, yeah.
My question is to both Anand and Carlsen. And that move on, that sack on A pawn, was that in your preparation? The initial taking a pawn?
Bishop A2.
Bishop A2.
No, not mine.
And you?
I didn't. I heard something about Bishop A2. I didn't hear the rest. What was the
Just
question?
repeat the question.
At the 8th move, was it in the 8th move, the early part of the game, you took the pawn on the A5. Did you analyze that before the game?
No, I just saw that the pawn was hanging and I didn't see how the bishop would get trapped, so I took it. And frankly, I didn't really expect knight e2 because I thought the pawn would be hanging on a2, but I think at that point I have a very comfortable position anyway.
Thank you. So do we have other questions?
On a lighter note, to both of you, your plan for tomorrow and for Carlsen, any plan to watch any Tamil movies here?
Today was some rest, and yeah, but today was a very tough game for me, so it's good that tomorrow goes well. I don't know, it's one or the other.
Colors will be reversed. No. Okay, so we will have a question. Last question, please.
Yeah. Carlsen, any plans to watch movies in Chennai?
I mean, I haven't been bitten by the whole Indian movie bug, to be honest, yet. So we'll see. I think I'll need to relax a bit as well, because a game like this takes a lot of energy.
Yeah, so thank you very much for coming for this press conference. I wish you a very good rest day, and let's meet in one day here again. Thank you.
Thank you.